Hi, good morning everybody. Welcome back to When Saturdays Come with me, Dry Bry. It's Friday morning. We just had Chris Wilder's press conference and he has had a lot to say. He has had a lot to say on injuries, RND, and GILCHRIST and the other players as well. And he's looking forward to the game at Preston on Saturday. I'll upload it straight after I've had a little chat just now and you'll be able to see it in full. It's quite a blow on RND and he's going to be out for a few weeks. But, you know, like Chris Wilder explained all that to you and in the presser, and you can watch it in full, which lasts about 30 minutes or so. Just a quick update. We'll be in the Triple Point on Saturday after around 1 o'clock-ish. If you want to pop in and have a chat and talk about the game and the team news and all the rest of it, it could be an interesting chat. And we always like to have a bit of banter before the game and chew the fat and who's going to score and what the teams are, etc. and all that. So that's what we'll be talking about. So it'd be good to see you if you want to pop in. Reminder that I'll be doing a match reaction on Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on what happens and what information we get back and the presses and all that. We'll see what time we've got on that, and we'll look forward to chatting to you again. So thank you again for your comments, and please like and subscribe to keep the channel growing. It's really important. It's doing great, and we look forward to growing it slowly but surely in the next few weeks, months, or however long it takes to wherever we want to get to, I suppose. But thank you for watching. I look forward to speaking to you soon. And a quick thank you to Sydney PECK for a little mention as well about the channel, which I'll follow on from this and Chris Wilder's presser. So all the best. Have a good game. Enjoy the game on Saturday, and I'll speak to you soon. All the Blades.
Fans, like and subscribe when Saturday comes.
First of all, then, following on from QPR last week, is everybody okay?
You might have seen Reece Davies got injured in the under-21s, so that isn't looking too good at the moment. His reaction to the injury as well, so he's had a scan. We've sent him down to a specialist, so yeah, he won't be available. Well, definitely for not for the next 3 games.
Wow. Well, that's another issue with him. I mean, the lad's just having what can only really be described as a bit of a nightmare in that sense.
Well, we've talked about it before, haven't we? In terms of sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. We've had it with other players that we've name checked as well. So and Reece is one of those, and we talked about it to him yesterday. You know, and it's a block tackle. He's planted his right foot, and it's just an innocuous block tackle that's obviously just tweaked something in the groin area. So yeah, it's not been a great period for him personally.
So forgive me, is this something that's completely new and not as a kind of knock-on effect to his other issues? It's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, when you look into injuries, you look into repeat injuries individually and as a group. Soft tissue injuries are obviously on the menu for not just Sheffield United but a lot of clubs up and down the country, especially at the highest level. And people talk about that. The more injuries players are picking up and clubs are picking up. So we're trying to keep that to a minimum. There's some that you just can't do anything about. Tom Cannon rolled his ankle a couple of weeks ago. Can't really do anything about that. And Reece is in the same boat. It's just a block tackle. He had to go for the tackle. There's nothing to do with previous injuries. It's nothing to do with his attitude. Nothing to do with him being underprepared or whatever. He's a top pro. He's a top trainer, and he's just been really unfortunate that the force of that has resulted in that injury.
Are we outside of football clubs just more aware of the significant volume of injuries, or is that because of sort of workloads that these lads have just had for the last 4 or 5 years?
I think a combination of quite a lot of things: the intensity of the game, the physicality of the game when you're playing at the highest level, which we are, and then one up as well. So every club, it seems to be affecting. So it's something that we pride ourselves on over sort of the period that I was here previously, and trying to clear them up. So there's a lot of ways that you can look at it. the load point of view, right the way through, which you want to get a balance with, because they have to train competitively on a Monday to Friday. So you're always open to those little injuries as well. You know, Alfie Gilchrist, had an ankle injury because of a collision in training. So I can't just Monday to Friday just go through the motions and wrap them up in cotton wool, and not train at an intensity and at a level that doesn't prepare the players for matches at the weekend. So under-training, overtraining has always been a big thing, and making sure you get the balance right. We feel that we have previously got the balance right, and we're always aiming to do that. We've got some excellent people in the medical department, from physios right the way through to sports scientists, and Dr. Brian English coming in as well. So it's important, availability and keeping the group healthy. We had a spate of injuries in around Christmas time that hit us hard, but there was quite a lot at the same time. But majority of the time we're pretty happy, pretty comfortable with the availability that we've had for the players. The reason that we didn't, we got stretched a little bit is because the squad was light at the start of the season. That was plain and simple, and obviously we've addressed that in January.
And just to check on Gilchrist then, nothing's changed with him. He's still back at Chelsea and is a week or two
Yeah,
beyond.
he's progressing nicely. So, I believe that Alfie's coming back up the road over the weekend, and will be back Monday with us. So that's good news, and we'll get him right. Whether he's ready for the last game before the international break, if not, I'm sure that potentially he'll be ready for the Coventry game, which is good news.
A month or so ago, we were chatting to you about contracts for existing lads, Robinson and Rian. Has anything moved at all in that sense?
Jack triggers an extension to his contract, I think, on 25 games. So he didn't play at the start of the season because of the partnership of Harry Suter and Anel. And Jack was patient in his approach, and when Harry's coming to the game on Saturday, which will be good, and I like that he still keeps interest in us and our progression, because he played a major part in our results in the first part of the season. So delighted to welcome him back up the road on Saturday, and good to see him. But Jack will trigger an extension on that, so there's no unbelievable rush to deal with that. Jack will obviously want to deal with it, and we will. I think the major thing was getting through January, so there'll be ongoing discussions, and Rian was another one as well. So ongoing discussions with Rian. I was talking to Steve Bettish yesterday about contract situations and plans and whatever. So it's something that we understand. We have to acknowledge and hopefully deal with.
Preston then next. What's your assessment of them at the moment?
Well, start of the season obviously was a great one for us, and not so great for Ryan. However that materialised. They're a strong Championship football club that's been in the Championship for a long time. Maybe not hit the heights that they would have liked to in terms of getting into the playoffs, but well-run football club, a lot of experience, always a strong squad, always pick up some really good loan players as well, and obviously and a manager and assistant manager that we know well.
Yeah. Well, yes, you know well. You've worked with the pair of them. Dovetailed in terms of responsibilities here. What do you make of the job Hecky's done over there?
Yeah, great job. Not surprised at all. He's a quality operator, Paul. The reason that was in the day that we brought Paul into the club. Yeah, it was at academy level, but he had a great knowledge of that side of the business in terms of the young players that he produced and the young players he had at Barnsley when he first made his name as a manager. And there was a succession plan in there, to short to medium term, if anything happened to the manager at the time, which obviously it did. So, Paul took the reins, and it was a difficult period, the back end of the second season in the Premier League. and the club went down a different road. I'm not sure that was the right one to go down, if I was perfectly honest with it, because of the players that we had and at the time, and the plans were to to keep everybody. If we lost somebody, then fair enough, but keep players and bring some good loans in and go with the players that were in the building at the time, and have a push to get promoted. But obviously the change of style, change of manager, change of idea, change of culture, and not in a negative way, just a different road to go down. But I believe it was all set to have a successful season, and from a stats point of view, Paul coming in after 17 games and getting to playoff semi-final was a great achievement, and I'm sure that maybe if it had a lot longer, maybe if you had the group at the start of the season playing, putting round pegs in round holes and playing the players in their preferred positions and going down the way that maybe it was set up to go down, that promotion would have been achieved, or would have gone very close to being promoted automatically, and to get the group up the year afterwards was a great achievement. So yeah, he's somebody I know well, and I'm delighted that he's doing well.
As you've kind of alluded to, Preston as a team were in a different place in the early part of the season when United went over there and won. Change of manager, Paul went in. They've drawn a lot of games recently. What might that tell you about how they approach the match at the Lane tomorrow?
Well, they've got a point to start with, haven't they? So they'll understand, and Paul will understand that the qualities that we've got, just as much as we understand how difficult opponent Preston are going to be. And yeah, they're stubborn. They've got some good players. They've got experienced Championship players. And I keep saying it, to win in the Championship's tough. To get out of the Championship, you've got to do a lot of things right. It's not a given. It's not a given for Sheffield United just because we got relegated. It's not a given for anybody. So there's a lot of teams, have got different ambitions, and I'm not being disrespectful. Maybe Preston's ambitions Preston North End's ambition is to improve on the positions that they've been in and around the last 3, 4, 5 years, and to get into the playoffs. But there's still a load of other clubs that are trying to do that, and as I keep saying, it's tough to win games regularly. It's tough to be at the top of the division. You have to deal with all different challenges when you are at the top of the division, and we'll have to deal with a very competitive Preston North End with a manager that's had a great track record as a manager and won things and been promoted, and will want to come because he's a competitor and Stuart's a competitor, and will want to come and they'll want to get a result. So yeah, again, keep saying the same thing. We're going to have to play well, do a lot of things right on Saturday afternoon to get that win that we're after. That adds to for me a really impressive points total at the time, and I'm still adding them 2 points on, by the way.
Ta.
Cheers.
Thank you. Ta.
Hi, Chris.
Dan.
Just check on Davies and Clark. Whereabouts are they in their
Yeah, Harry won't be available for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Be back for the Coventry game, and Tom will be back for the Coventry game. So yeah, Harry had a whack underneath his foot, which is pretty sore, so that needs settling down. So that's just a time thing. And Tom had a tight calf, so he's obviously missed the last couple of games. We'll miss the next couple of games as well. So, but we'll be back for the last 8 games of the season.
Yeah. Not trying to get your team out of you, but is Femi in a position where he can start games?
No. Femi is playing catch up with his minutes as well. So, and there's a couple of them as well. We have to be careful. We have to be careful with Tom Cannon. We have to still be careful with Gus. Yeah. We still have to be careful with Femi, that we don't overload them. We make sensible decisions and we manage the minutes.
Yeah. I just want to ask about Harry coming back, which is a nice thing to hear, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because it shows how much he really bought into this place. He wasn't just a lone player here just for the season, was he? He really bought into this football club and wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, we were delighted when we secured his services. He was outstanding for us in the first half of the season up to his injury. His presence was amazing. His performances were really good. His personality around the place was great, and yeah, he had to, and you have to. You have to. I'm delighted with the new players that we've brought in. They've all signed into it as well, and are all in. And you have to be part of the group. And I've kept in contact with Arios. I think we were all devastated for him, because he was in real good, rich vein of form, and the team were. But the unfortunate injury, and I'm sure he'll get back to where he was for us, which was a really good player, and obviously an international player playing for his country as well. So it'd be good to see Harry, and he's a popular boy. So the players will be keen to see him and meet up with him as well.
Is he someone that you would look to work with again in the future? Perhaps?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, yeah, of course. All you can do when you come in on loan is impress everybody, and certainly he impressed the supporters, and he certainly impressed me and the coaching staff and his fellow players. So I think the first obstacles and hurdles he has to overcome is getting himself back onto a football pitch, because Achilles injuries are not the easiest ones to deal with, especially when you're 6 foot, whatever you are, 6 foot 6 or 6'7". So he's got to manage that injury really well, and wish him all the best in his recovery.
Yeah. Well, to ask you about Anel, he played 100. It was his 100th game on Saturday at QPR. It's a big milestone for any player to hit at this club, isn't it? What's it been like working with him? How much have you enjoyed that?
Yeah, we've been through a couple of difficult periods. I think there was a period last year where it was pretty difficult in around January, where there's a lot of speculation regarding his future. But he's got his head on. I thought he was outstanding from the first day he come back to pre-season. He had to get his head down and get on with getting in the side first and foremost. And his performance at Preston was outstanding. And he's been consistently very good all season. So his attitude's good. He's a popular boy amongst the players. He gives everything. We're always pushing him to be better. But he's there's been a lot of interest in him, and I'm okay with that. There's a lot of interest in him because he's been putting some top performances in, and hopefully he's one that we can really lean on in the last quarter of the season. We all need to put top performances in, but when he's at his best, he's one of the best in the division.
I know you're one for medium long term planning as well. Obviously his contract's up, probably the next batch after Jack and Ryan. Is that something that you'll be looking to address soon with him? Yeah,
definitely. But there's always got to be, from their point of view, if they want to buy into what we're about as well. So of course you want to build. It's something I've talked about, still talk about it, still 7-8 months into a build. Yeah. You want to keep your best players. I don't want to lose any players, and if we do, they have to be the right price. Yeah. And I don't want to stop players going into that big league. But I like to think that if we are successful this year, then we can realise all those ambitious young players that we've got, their dreams of playing in. But there's work to be done, as we know. But Anel's definitely on the agenda. And hopefully there'll be positive outcome to the talks between Anel, his agent, and us.
Yeah. Just finally from me, sad news this week about Jeff Taylor, someone who was part of it when you were here as a player. What can you say about him? Yeah,
a couple of pieces of bad news. I mean, the first one was obviously the ex-chairman, Reg Brearley. I was only a young player when I came back from Southampton. I was only 19, so. Sort of our line manager was Derek Dooley, bless him, who we used to go and see. So I didn't really have any connection or contact with the chairman at the time, but it was our chairman, and he made one of the best decisions that the club's ever made in terms of bringing Dave Bassett to the football club, and history speaks for itself in what Dave did for Sheffield United and how highly Dave is regarded. And then moving into that was Jeff, that was a great ally for Harry, we all got on really well with him. He was a super coach. He was great for the young players. He pushed in the right way. His manner was fabulous, and the combination of Harry and Jeff was obviously formidable in those years at Sheffield United. And I kept in contact with Jeff when I left and when he left Sheffield United. But it's just and all of the things that the boys have said. I know people have been on social media, ex-players have been on social media, and I echo all those thoughts regarding what they said and what they thought of Jeff. A proper football guy, but a great person as well. So sadly missed. He'd give it a go. Good innings, as they always say. So he got everything out of his life, but I know his life was 95% built around football, and he gave everything to the game. So yeah, sadly missed, but somebody that is fondly remembered at Sheffield United.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.
Good luck.
I was just going back to those talk of injuries. I know sort of sports like rugby union in this country, NFL, have all had to take steps at some point to limit the number of injuries. Do you think football maybe is on the same direction of travel and might have to look at that?
In what way?
Just in terms of something that it does in terms of the structuring of the calendar, giving more breaks to players. I'm not saying in terms of the game itself, but...
You got no chance, have you?
Well, you haven't.
You have got absolutely zero chance. They're talking about the World Club Football that's worth £100 million to one of these English super clubs in the middle of the summer. You're contracted to that football club, you're going. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. The schedule right the way through. You know, the calendar, it's a 12-month. It's a 12-month season from really, or I should imagine it feels for them top players an 11.5-month season, I should imagine. I might get a couple of weeks off in the summer, but it's constant right the way through. And the game's run, as we all know, by the powers that be, and we have got to get on with it. Whether it's cup competitions, whether it's league schedules, the travelling we do and whatever, the amount of games played, the amount of minutes that have been asked by players, the intensity of the game as it's absolutely rocketed over the last 10 years, and everything, the speed of the game as well. So yeah, more importantly, the medical aspect of it, the sports science aspect of it, and I think the minutes aspect of it, managing minutes, is huge. And I'm sure there'll be times when people are saying, "Why ain't he playing? Why can't he play 90 minutes? Why can't he do this?" I could sit here for the next 2 hours and explain our strategy over the next 3 games and tell you why, because it involves sports science, and it involves minutes, and it involves medical opinion as well. So maybe in the past, the managers picked the team and that was it. The physios treated injuries. The assistant manager ran the nuts off players pre-season and did running sessions. The manager did running sessions on Tuesday afternoon, Terror Tuesday. It ain't like that now. It's gone up. Well, not even just a couple of levels. It's gone through the roof. So we work as a team. So ultimately, I have the decision to make at the end whether to risk a player. But it's in conjunction and it's in collaboration with experts in their field. So that's the detail that we're going into. Tactically, there'll always be an opinion by people. He's not playing in the right position, and he's not doing this, and he's not doing that. The proof's in the pudding. We're getting that pretty right at the moment. Sat on 75 points, so we're okay with that. So we'll rely, in our opinion, of the experience that we've acquired over the years, and how we want to play, and the process that we go about in terms of out possession and in possession. But there's a massive input now from sports science and the medical department.
I mean, that's quite a radical shift, actually, isn't it? Because I think it was only, and it's interesting to hear, because it's probably not that long ago that I would be sat there listening to people talking about red zones and all of that, and you did get intensely irritated by it. But I'm guessing now, the way the game is, it's reached a point where we have to be a little bit more sympathetic on this side of the fence.
I mean, you want to see one of our medical meetings and the sports science meetings, and everything's logged, GPS. We all you know, high intensity, you know, recoveries, everything, whatever. And it's becoming huge. And I think one of the things that I keep bashing the players about is that everybody wants to win. Some people, some teams, some clubs, some managers want to win a little bit more than others. But the preparation and the detail to winning is the biggest thing now. So, yeah, I mean, I once went into a club that was not in a great position, and I had the sports science guy walking around the back of me and Nilly and talking about red zones, and the team was in a relegation point, and I sort of told him to go away in the way that I would have told him to go away, because we had to go and pick some points up and get the work into the players. But it's becoming more relevant now than it's ever been, and I'm sure it'll grow and grow and grow. So, yeah, everything's monitored, everything's looked at. You know, training schedules, recovery days, the amount of minutes, the levels of intensity in days leading up. Match day -2, match day -1. You know, our day today will be a down day. We'll be focusing on set plays. We'll be focusing on meetings, unit meetings. But we've still got to get the boys going and fire them up physically as well as emotionally for a tough game tomorrow.
I mean, you're doing football a favour in a way, because for all of that talk about World Club Championships, I mean, listen, the Championship as well, when it's been sold, ultimately people want to see the best players on display, though, don't they? Those players, it's not worth 100 million quid, or a Championship game isn't worth to the broadcasters what it is if you've got half a team out every week. And
I think that's a challenge for all managers in especially in the top two divisions now coming into the running, because you know when you know you want to peak, you want it to grow, but you know it's a 9-month absolute slog. A lot of travelling involved in it, a lot of different challenges, games on different days, and yeah, you want to listen. There's going to be times where we risk because we feel the risk is worth it, but we still keep saying we still a quarter of the season to go, just under a quarter of the season to go. So valuable points to be won, and you know, yeah. Listen, if we're going into the last 2 or 3 games of the season and we understand that it's a risk worth taking, then no doubt we'll have a go at that. But we have to be really smart now in our approach. We've got a 3-game week coming up, and all different types of challenges. A challenge on Saturday, more of a technical challenge on Tuesday against a good Bristol City side, and obviously an incredibly local derby intensity 100-mile-an-hour game next Sunday. So you know there'll be a bit of planning in terms of selection. There'll be a lot of planning in terms of the minutes and the lead up and getting it right, and then even the international break we have to make sure that we get right for the final 8 games of the season. And as you imagine, you know, we'll need a bit of luck in there. We didn't have any luck on Tuesday with Reece. That's just an incredibly unlucky situation where he goes in for a block tackle. But we are going to have to be on top of our game in all those departments: medical department, sports science department, recovery department, to making sure that they're ready to go in every of those really important games between now and the end of the season.
You can almost envisage, I know it wasn't that long ago everyone was on about technical directors, sporting directors. I mean, I know players, managers will ultimately be the ones that always decide whether a club succeeds or fails. But you can almost envisage a situation now where there's going to be like a transfer market for a sports scientist now, can't you? If they've got a good record at one club, it's...
Well, you say that. You look at, like I said, you look at sporting directors. I imagine some of them have got agents now. Sports science.
I know one.
Go and see my agent. Go and see my agent. Fancy staying here for next year, for a couple of years. Go and see my agent. Oh, I'm not sure how I'll handle that. But yeah, they're important cogs in the in your group. We've got some great staff that work for us. So yeah, we challenge each other, but ultimately Unfortunately, I'm the one that has to make those decisions. But we've got some really good people that work for us, and they're all on board in terms of what we're trying to do. But yeah, definitely it's moving forward, and I don't think it'll stop. The physicality of the game is incredible. We saw that last year in the Premier League. You know, you looked at times where Vinicius at times this year is brushing people aside, and you looked at it last year, and every team has got 5, 6 and 7 Vinnies. So the way the game's going, technically, obviously, you know, it's the best league in the world to be involved in, but physically it's an incredible competition that you have to be right physically. So, you know, there's a lot of things that have to go into it in terms of recruitment, players, availability, which is something that we talked about in the summer, bringing players in that are available and can they handle a 9-month season, and our boys are doing that okay at the moment, and it'll be really important that we carry on that good work that we've done. Cheers, mate.
All good.
Okay, come on, I need a question off you two. Yeah. Can't just come in and just sit there. Sorry.
So, Chris, just on tomorrow's game.
Yeah, sure. Just a bit off this private joke.
Just on Preston tomorrow, they're quite a physical team. They like to win a lot of duels. Do you think that's going to help you? Do you think you can maybe look to exploit that in a way?
Well, listen, I think the game is heavily based on duels, because ultimately, if you win those duels, the first and second balls, your races and your tackles, you have the ability to control a game. So we understand that. They've got a lot of experienced championship players that know the way around the football pitch, and a manager that does as well. So we've been okay in that department as well. So yeah, it's important that we're mentally and physically up for the challenge.
Do you have any sort of players you're looking to maybe you think they might be able to have a good impact against Preston? Anyone you think from your squad who'll stand out? Well,
they've all got to stand out, and they've all stood out so far this season. Just going back to sort of when you talk about availability, substitutes now are becoming more and more relevant as well. So the impact that they make, and the good thing about it now is that when we look round at the bench, we've got some really good options to come on and impact the game. So they'll all 20 players will have a really important part to play tomorrow in us getting a big win.